Hello, and thank you for joining us for another episode of That Solo Life, the podcast for PR pros and marketers who work for themselves. People like me, I am Michelle Kane. My company is Voice Matters, and I am here as ever with my wonderful co host, Karen Swim of Solo PR Pro. That's where we all hang out, our little water cooler, best staff meeting in the world. Hi, Karen. How are you?
Hi, Michelle. I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Not bad. Not bad. Can't complain too much. My
Yeah,
favorite.
it's kind of nice because I'm ready for fall that summer's ending, but kind of
Yeah.
sad too because you love the summer season. And I don't know about you, but I always have that big checklist of things that I think I'm going to do. And I pretty much did none of them.
Yeah. I'm kind of right there with you mentally. I always get annoyed with the back to school talk, and I get it. Clearly, as a marketer, I get it. But I'm thinking, whoa, 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 we've got another month or so. So the kids go back to school. We still have like, no, no, no. I haven't done the summer things yet. You have to calm down.
Well, not quite a month. I mean, a lot of people are starting on
Yeah,
the 23rd.
they are. They
Yeah.
are. And,
Which is
my,
next week, by the
yeah,
way.
shh, don't tell anyone. Don't tell me. No, it is funny. I think too, as a '70s kid, you were always ingrained, at least in our neck of the woods. There was no school until the last tote of the Jerry Lewis telethon, and I know people
Yeah.
probably 35 and under are saying, "What?
Yeah.
Good
They're
lord."
like, who's Jerry Lewis now? Yeah, you're absolutely right. School never started before Labor Day.
Nope.
So yeah,
Nope.
it is weird for me too, growing up in
Yeah.
that era and getting adjusted to all of these different start times for school and people going
Yeah.
back to school in the summer seems just odd to me, but
Yeah.
is the world that we live in now.
It is, and it's such an interesting world, and, what we're gonna touch on this today of well, we always talk about clarity and communication, right? But there have
Yeah.
been some, instances in our own lives, in our own areas that have really brought this to the foreground. Um, and so we just want to talk about how really important it is. And we know it can be easy to sometimes think, nah, do we have to include an FAQ or do we have to really issue a statement? But yes, yes, you do.
Yeah,
You should have
absolutely.
a good FAQ, and you should be clear. I know, Karen, you're under a boil water advisory, which has been such fun, but that hasn't
Yeah.
come without its communication pitfalls, right?
No, definitely. And as communicators, we always look at everything around us, even when it's happening to us from our
Yeah.
lens. And we're gathering lessons or looking at breakdowns or applauding the things that go really well. So, yeah, I've been under a boil water advisory since Saturday. And on Sunday, they told us it would be 2 weeks as they eliminated. It started out with 23 communities and then it was down to 13 by Sunday. And I think down to 10, but our 10 on Sunday, we knew it would be 2 weeks, but then yesterday got extended a third week. So fun times. However, this was really interesting from a communications perspective because it reminded me of the importance of two things. Number one, understanding how information travels today.
Yes.
I did not find out about the boil water advisory on Saturday from the news, from any type of an alert, from community apps. I found out about it from a text message from a local friend who found out about it because his parents found out and let him know. And then he started alerting everybody he knew. I then started sharing with everyone I knew because on Saturday, it also included my family members who live in a different community. They got lifted on Sunday and they had no idea either.
Right.
And so it just is a great reminder that even if it's not a crisis situation, for those of us in our day to day work, when we are working so hard at positioning our clients and developing their messaging and helping them to reach their audiences, those audiences are dispersed across so many channels.
Yeah.
I will be honest with you and say that even though I'm not a Gen Zer, the information probably would have gotten to me quicker if it had been on TikTok, kid you not, or
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Was not. it was communicated in traditional ways. And even then, so then, I hear about this and I turn on a news station and I still didn't see anything. And even
Huh.
the next day, I said, oh, I should turn on the actual news to see what the updates are. There were no updates when I
Wow.
watched. And, the friend who alerted me said, I was watching golf and I thought that there would be a pop-up or something like they do broadcast tests, they do everything else. Why isn't this happening? And
Yes.
again, outside of a crisis, I think it's important to examine, how do we reach people? Are
Yeah.
we connecting in all the ways that people consume their information? Because we make these assumptions and we think we're checking all the boxes. But this, to me, was one of those clear instances where I think that there could have been a better job in the initial alert phase. Because let's face it, this is a health crisis. If you drink contaminated water, and in the reason that we are still under a boil water advisory and it can't be lifted is because we lost pressure
Oh,
and the water is not safe to
right.
drink or get in your eyes, or it's not safe for pets, so it's not safe.
Right.
And if you were to drink contaminated water, you could be ill. If your pets drink contaminated water, it can make them ill. So maybe it's not life threatening, but it is important to consider that.
Yeah. No, it's so true. And this has come up so many times. I know in my career, when you think, okay, if you have a large body of people that you're communicating to, how do we hit all of their marks? How do we hit it all? And, even 10, 15 years ago, it was website, email, if they're on the e-news. When I was in the nonprofit world working for the church, we had what we called the phone chain. So you signed up to get literal messages on the phone. We would record messages. And even then, you didn't hit everyone because, not everyone's paying attention to everything. But now, like you say, we've got everyone has their own expectations of how they like to be reached. And it's not a bad thing if they are very particular about that. Some people love to get texts. Some people hate it. Some people want the email alert. Some people don't. And so, really, even though we will tell you, let's say, from a social media or communication strategy to not be everywhere for the sake of being everywhere, we're not talking about that from a marketing point of view.
Yeah.
But when you need to get through for public health or a community-wide campaign, you do need to be everywhere in those instances. I know
I
our
agree.
county our county here in Pennsylvania, they have, like I think it's a 911, but it's not, it's like a reverse 911. That's what it is. But you still have to know about it, and then you have to go to the county website and you have to sign up for it. And if you do all those things, it's great because they will not stop calling until you literally pick up the phone and hit a number. So that's effective,
Well,
but you
I
have to
love
know about it.
bringing this up about, opting into how you want to receive messages, because I think that this also applies in, a business sector
Oh,
or
yeah.
in, outside of public health, outside of, crisis, is that it is really important every day, all
Yes.
the time, to consistently be making sure that you invite your audience to stay connected where they can receive information. So it doesn't matter if you're, a B2B company, technology company, nonprofit, or selling a product, you want to continue to do that. So you're building and you're continuing to, reach out to your audience and connect those people, but then also making sure that they know how to stay connected to you to get your information, because that was a big thing in this particular crisis, is
Right.
how do we what do we connect to so that we get these types of alerts faster, because all of the channels that people thought that they would come through, that did not happen. I don't necessarily, some people found out through the Crime Watch app. I did not want that app because I already have too many things and I don't need to
Yeah.
hear about all that. So for my own mental health, I opted not to download that app. I know where to go to check it, but I wouldn't have thought to go there for
Well,
public
right.
health information.
Exactly. Public health doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily
it's
jive with
not
Crime
crime.
Watch.
And I didn't want to hear about all the crime because
Right.
it filters through to you anyway, even if you
Yeah.
don't want it to. But I did need a steady diet of that type of information.
Right.
But also, the other thing as a communicator that I noticed in this particular situation is how incredibly effective it is to be an expert and then have information readily available. Because I
Right.
watched through like our community app and our next door community where so many people again had so many questions. And then it was very amazing to see how many people kept sharing the Water Authority website, which was very well done. They had the press release, they had updates, they had the time and the dates of the updates. So you knew exactly when that was issued and you were getting the most current news. They had an FAQ and they had links to the CDC website. I mean, everything was laid out. And so it made
That's
me
great.
thoughtfully consider like with my clients, when we're presenting them as experts in their space, are we setting ourselves up to be the go-to place when that information is needed? And
Right.
again, not thinking about crisis, but just in everyday, think about how often we all Google to look for something. If you have good, solid information, if you have an FAQ
Mhm.
on your website that addresses the most common questions, and if you're putting out content and making it easily findable, people
Mhm.
will use that and they will share that. And it was just again like an eye-opening experience for me going, wow, this is great that they're sharing the authoritative site. Now,
Right.
I will also say that I liked seeing that because it was not misinformation, malinformation, or disinformation. This was from the
Right.
source. So
Right.
it was credible because it was coming from the people who were actually analyzing the water and making the repairs. But there
That's
were other
key.
credible sites as well that provided, because I did some further research because you want to know and you want to check things, you have
Right.
questions about everything, washing your clothes and what do I do about this? And
Right.
and so seeking out experts and knowing that they were also credible and seeking out, other communities popped up that are outside of our state. And it was great to compare and see that the information was pretty much the same across the board. But I would encourage us all to take a look. We say that, we do thought leadership programs, we say that our clients are experts, but are they set up to become that go-to place on a day-to-day basis when people need information on X?
Right.
Your client the one that has the bite-sized chunks of information that people are looking for? Um, is it a
Right.
place that can be pointed to and shared when this comes
Right.
up? And I think that's a very cool thing to be
Yep.
able to think like that, because even if a crisis happens and your person is the expert and you don't get national media attention, think about just having your client and their expertise become a go-to source of information on a day-to-day basis,
Right.
and how much easier that kind of makes your job. It makes it easier for the media to go there. It makes it easier for your end users to find things. And
Yeah.
it, when I think like that, it makes me think about even things like when you go to technology sites, a lot of times it's all product based, or any site, it's all product based and it's all about their product and it's questions about their product, but not questions about, what do you look for? How do you buy?
Mhm.
Period. Without regards to brand. Like a really
Yeah.
easy example. If you're looking for jeans and you go on a website, wouldn't it be great if there was frequently asked questions about how to find the best fit for your size, your body type, your age, your, how you want to look? So often they don't have that. It's all
No.
information about their product. It's all me, 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 me.
Yeah. We
But if
we
it
have
was
to
a
keep
site that said, hey, here are the questions that people have when they're trying on jeans or when they're looking for jeans, and they answered all those questions regardless, and it was brand agnostic. Can you imagine how helpful that would be? And
I think you just came up with the next Untuck It for jeans, because I think the industry standard is to keep it as painful as possible where denim is
it's so true. And
just
I mean,
women.
struggle. Swimsuits and jeans are the two things that you just like, really, do I really have to do this? Yeah.
No, it's so true what you say though, and I, with my client work, I look through that lens all the time. How can we be a resource? How can we
Yeah.
provide, up to the minute information in our news, on our news pages? Really comes down to news you can use. Recently the changes in Pennsylvania in the way that tipped workers are compensated.
Mhm.
That's an easy blog. And, that way someone's Googling for that information, hopefully your client's blog comes up. Um, actionable things. You know, it's it's not out of line because it's what you do on your daily basis. And then over time, you become the resource that someone says, oh, you know what? That company or that person always has, the information quickly and they're easy to understand and they usually get it right. I trust them. So
Yes.
I may never engage in a business relationship with them, but I know I can trust them. So, and that can even extend to when you are in your next doors or these different forums and you say, "Hey, do you know anyone who provides XYZ services?" And, you can say, "Well, I've never used them, but they always provide really good credible information, so I know that they're top of their game." So, it's
Yeah.
just I mean, it's really the basics of communication. Keep your community aware of what's going on. I mean, it's going on here. I woke up this morning to a Facebook post that, one of the cherished old homes in the town next to me has a permit for it to be demolished. Now, we don't know when, but it seems as though it's within days, and it's owned by the local charter school, which, some love it, some don't think it's so great just because of the way they're funded in this state. And so there's a lot of confusion, a lot of gnashing going on. And, well, that's not true. And so, you know, I said, well, prove us wrong. Communicate with your community. I would love to be proven wrong. That would be great. I said, you're not 100% beholden, but if you would just be proactive, then you wouldn't have to be on the defense so often. And I think that's such a great lesson for anyone to learn.
Yeah.
You may think, well, we don't really need to tell this audience whatever it is. But okay, you might not need to, but in so many instances it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt just to have information on your website of here's what we're planning to do. Here's what our future is. Now that I'm saying that, I'm going to go to their website and see if it's on there because I would think someone
And
would have shared the link by now if it was, but I'm going to go look.
that's again, it's just a great reminder for all of us. And I know that we don't always
Yeah.
have control over
No.
all of the things that happen in a company, but we need to make sure that we're pretty buttoned up and that we're
Yeah.
looking at things and looking at how they can be used. I mean, again, going through this, I thought of some additional things that I could recommend to some of my clients, like, hey, they really are a go-to resource for this. Is that
Yeah.
clear? Is that clear to anyone? While we get cited for
Yes.
a lot of things and we get, mentioned for a lot of things, there are other things that are helpful resources for anybody that I don't think we're doing the best job of communicating and that we could do a lot more in those areas. And so, I hope if something good can come out of my personal low water crisis over here,
Oh,
and I get it, I have to say that even though I've, not been happy about it and it's inconvenient, I also still realize, I'm really thankful and grateful because there are so many people in the world that don't have
yes.
access to clean and safe water. So not having access to clean and safe water for a month, is it a month? No, no,
Well,
not a month, 3 weeks. It's almost a month. They said it could be 4 weeks, but I'm just going to live with
don't.
3 right now because that's about all that I can handle.
It's yes. Easy for me to say on this end. It's a gratitude exercise. Yes,
It is.
I get it. It is. But oh my goodness, no, I
Yeah.
don't. I don't envy that at all. But I
But we'd
totally.
also love to hear from you, from our
Yes.
audience, if you've had, been involved in something, whether it was a crisis or not. And again, I think,
Yeah.
crises obviously teach us things, but it's always fascinating to look at the things that are happening around you. How do you make sure that your experts, that their POVs are getting out there?
No.
And how are you keeping your audience connected? How, again, it just mind blowing how
Yeah.
many channels people seek information from and how you can strike the right notes and still miss so many people that actually
Yeah.
need. And that's the key. Like, as communicators, we
Yeah.
know that we're not trying to reach everyone. We
Right.
have a targeted public. But in a case like this, where you really do, your target public is everybody in a community
Everybody.
because this issue touches them. How do
Yeah.
you reach them? How do you make
I
sure
don't
that happens?
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't employ the local ice cream man to just make an announcement driving through your neighborhoods, Karen. Come on. It would be great. Better than that creepy music they still use. But you're so right. We would love to hear from our listeners. If you have a great case study or something that you want to share with us, because we could, we're communications nerds. We could talk about this all day long. But we won't. We know you're either on a commute or you're taking a walk or doing something else. So we so appreciate that you give us your time every week. And if you value in this, please share it around. And until next time, thanks for listening to That's Solo Life.